Alright, so here we are. Patch 5.3, patch notes, Tuesday. New patch comes out tomorrow for Final Fantasy. And I have yet to check this, so I guess it'll be new for both of us. We're gonna work our way through it, see what's new, give a couple ideas if they're good or not. We know that we're gonna get the new 24-man, the sequel to Copied Factory from the Nier raid by Yoko Taro. I believe we're getting a MSQ trial, should be in line with what we had prior from 5.2. I know that we're getting Unreal Shiva, which is just Shiva from A Realm Reborn, level 50 content, up-synced, unlike usual content being down-synced to level 80. That'll be interesting. I'm planning on trying to do that. I assume it won't be too difficult. There's not very many mechanics in that fight that are unknown anymore. I think the hardest part about that fight would probably be the tank mechanics with the tank buster cleaves and the shokes and watching the weapons, since there's no cast times or cast bars or animations like we do in our current fights. I don't believe we're getting anything to the relic yet. That comes at a later date, which is, I believe, the Bogian? I have no clue how to say that word. But it's the continuation of Save the Queen questline. I think there's a few balance changes. I remember them hinting at Astro, Monk, and maybe Warrior. I'm curious as to what those are. We'll probably... I mean, I'm skeptical, but we'll see when we get there. So let's run our way through it. So at the start, we have the name, Reflections on Crystal, a nice little video. More information. New MSQ. We know this is going to be the finale for the MSQ for Shadowbringers, essentially. Everything kind of wraps up here for the main storyline, but with Grahatia, and I think they hinted at supposedly the Asians. I personally think that's unlikely. That'd be woefully... it'd be very poor way to resolve that, I think, so quickly. When there's, I think, much more that can be explored. Following changes to Mirror Snare quests and Realm Reborn, completion of following quests is also required, so we just know what you need to do in order to actually do the quests. They're not going to actually tell you, but you can see that there's quite a few, so it's going to be fairly long. I think they mentioned, the devs, that you wanted to set aside a large amount of time to sit through this. It's going to be a lot of quests, a lot of cutscenes, a lot of dialogue. It's probably something you don't want to skip. Here we go with the new 24-man Yorha Dark Apocalypse. You can see, I think this, they believe color 2P. You see, I think these are, I think that's A2. I believe that, I can't make out these characters. This is interesting. This looks very similar to the dwarves. Is this the new Beast Drive? I believe so, correct? We can rebuild her. Dig Site Chief. Is this? No, this has to be. This really does look like the new Beast Tribe. I believe they are getting the dwarves. The Sorrow of Worlds. So this is the continuation of Ruby Weapon. I don't know if people are gonna call this Sapphire Weapon. I think a lot of people in the community have been so much as calling this as Ironworks Weapon, and I can definitely see that. The weekly restrictions of the following Chronicles of a New Era quests have been removed. Gift of the Archmagus, Primal Focus, Unidentified Flying Object. Gift of the Archmagus was a way to get the older, really old, Realm Reborn, like, I think like I-90 weapons, Primal weapons, I think. Primal Focus was also, I think Gift of the Archmagus was, you could also use it for later relics, if I recall, for Heavensward. Primal Focus were the Primal weapons. Unidentified Flying Object. This was, I'm pretty certain, the Heavensward, not relic, but Heavensward 24-man alteration that would change the singular ad phase to an Ultima that was supposed to be from a fan fest. So, I'm really surprised that there were weekly restrictions this far going in, but at the same time, I'm not surprised, since SC's always a little late on the trigger for that kind of stuff. We have new custom deliveries. We have the Firmament. We have Eli Toe. Okay. Seems to be a chain of sorts. Yep. Here's the Dwarf Tribe quest. Dwarf being the Lalafell of of the alternative world that we live in for Shadowbringers. Quest sync, yep, that's so you can use these to level your new account, your other characters if you don't have everything at level 80, which is pretty nice. So you could do like 3 beast tribes on pixies for like level 70, I think level 70 or level 71 character, and then do 3 more on the dwarfs, and you get some really good EXP. It's really quick, really easy. It takes like maybe 15 minutes to do the 3, so it's like 30 minutes total for all 3 of them, and that should give you roughly about like half a level. It's pretty solid. I like to do it for my DPS jobs, since DPS queues can be pretty abysmal. Beast Tribe daily quests, yep, tells you more how they work, currencies, where the vendor is. Here is the rework, or revamp, as they like to say for Realm Reborn. We've known about this for quite a while. We weren't exactly the specifics of what is going and what is staying. Due to various changes made to Masonry requests can only be progressed through or accepted, will no longer even appear, even if you have already completed. So they're just completely obliterating them. You won't ever even know that they were in the game in any way, shape, or form. If you're currently in the Realm Reborn, please refer to the duty list or journal, as you may have been subject to removal. You'll be asked to accept the next quest of the main scenario. So here we get a if you're progressing through the thing, through the MSQ, this is what it'll look like. And if like your quest has been canceled, you will know that it has been canceled, and you need to go elsewhere in order to continue on with that. Following quests have been changed, and accept these quests prior to patch notes. They'll be abandoned and re-accepted in order to safely complete them. Can't do without you prior to 4.0. Legacy of Alag 4.4. This is the I think Crystal Tower 24-man quest line that you need to do in order to progress through Shadowbringers. Requirements for the main scenario quest have been changed. So complete the quest. Black Whistle Ultimatum has now been, you need Black Whistle Ultimatum, my little chocobo, so you can actually ride a mount. Ancient Waste, Thomas Once, and complete the Chronicles of the Light of Hope. First Flight of Excelsior, Hour of Departure, okay. Here is mounts can now fly in a Realm Reborn areas. Interesting. I'm curious if there's like any hidden Easter eggs or something else, like anywhere in these zones. My gut says no, but I would like to be proved wrong. It can only be done after Ultimate Weapon, so you have to complete basically the base game of 2.0, and then players who've already completed the buff will gain the ability to fly upon logging in. Okay, it's interesting. A reborn area that permits flying players to log in must first change. So this is an interesting thing. So you can't just like log out, have been logged out in like Mordona, and then log in. You have to leave the area and come back. So they're like entirely brand new areas, and it's going to take some time for them to like, it's gonna put some strain on their server. What it sounds like is that they're not like force kicking you out. You, the player, have to choose to leave the area and then come back. So that's really weird. Really weird how they did this. And they just like kick everyone out and put them in like a city state. Following about the changes to facilitate flying around Borneo, the quest I believe can fly has been removed. Players must complete. Okay, it's the same thing. I believe Can Fly was a quest in Heavensward, which is like 100 and change some odd quests before you could fly in Heavensward and like Western Corethias. That's and then you still would have to do the Aether Currents, right? So you can just like, it's just fucking, you know, we're like on the highway. You're just going. Quest subjective icons for all quests have been adjusted to indicate elevation. This is good. This is good. There's a few quests I remember in Mordona that were a little difficult to find because you were unsure of where they were exactly. Is in that back alley where Rowena is, in her mansion of jewels and old stuff that she wants to trade with. New chapters have been added to New Game Plus. Okay, so now you can redo quest lines for Gladiator, Marauder, Conjurer, Vigilous Archer, pretty much all the base quests. That's really interesting. This is cool. The likelihood of me doing this is slim to none. Most of the time I wasn't very interested in these. They're usually very lackluster. You can do almost all of the Rumbleborn, Disciple of the Hand, and Disciple of the Land quests. So that's pretty good. I mean, you know, people who skip through the rush to get the end game and then they have nothing left to do, they can always go back and do the content and re-enjoy it, right? You know, that they didn't get the chance to, which is good. I think it's a really good idea, and I have no qualms against it. I just hope that doesn't cause a slowdown in the end as they try to, like, with how they set up the system. I have no clue how they set it up. If it causes issues for them down the end when they add more quests, it's gonna slow everything down. I hope not. Rewards have been added for Zoner Skin treasure maps. The following adjustments have been made to the dungeons of Liagia. I believe this is the zone for maps, if I believe. Will now be synced to 505. So this is taking account the eye level bump, I guess, that people are going to be getting. This is being a bit future-proofed. We have new craftable items added to the company workshop. This is interesting. This looks like an Ishgard housing, like outside, with a fence, chimney. This is, I'm pretty certain this is not in Ishgard, judging by the landscape. This is in Old Dolls, which is the goblet. Following additions adjustments have been made to subaquatic voyages. So we got more submarines. The submarines can go further. New destinations, warning messages. Okay. New items have been added to the Grand Company Quartermaster Pudding Flesh. Don't know what that is. Some more furnishing. So this is from the design contest that people has submitted. This is very interesting. It's like a nice little loft. This is very nice. Nice views for I probably see this on stages a lot, and people have been doing a lot lately for their RP clubs and whatnot. A new little pond and some, oh, look at this. It's like a little burger and a barrel. Some outside furnishings. I always have like a brick oven pizza. Oh, this is like all the rage right now, if I recall, in like the UK. A nice little tent straight from what is that one area in Stormblood? Can't remember. My memory is failing me. Even more new furnishings been added. Oh, these are straight from the 24 man from near. This is the elevator, light, and gate. Are these outdoor furnishings? Here's even a bench. These are indoor furnishings. This is an indoor house. Here's a staircase. Huh, I guess you could start to make your own near themed house. Very, very cool. Guess I'm supposed to be looking at this plant in this walkway. This walkway would be really cool, really interesting. A lot of people will probably use this in more of their Eastern themed stuff as they bridge water. Unfortunately, I wish you would up the cap while you do all this stuff. You get new items, but you don't up the cap, so it's harder to make use of them. You can have mannequins of your bunny and your Ronso. I mean, it was bound to come. It's okay. Interesting. We have new orchestration roles that they will not tell us what they are. You have to find them yourself. You can have new fish. Look at that boy. That thing is huge. We have new seed for flower pots. Okay. Cosmos seeds can be purchased. Okay, so these are Cosmos, I guess, and this is where you can buy them. They're at any material supplier in a major city. A new seed for gardening and flower pots has been added, so you can have Allegan melon. These just look like melon. These just look like melon. I'm curious if these are used in a recipe or something. So we have the gold saucer updates. The average time for not be displayed when queuing for chocobo races. So they just gave up, right? Because I think for this chocobo racing there is essentially no average wait time, right? It just queues you with whoever else is queuing. Most of the time it's bots, if I recall, and so there's not really a need for this, right? I've just been made a triple triad, so there's new cards for triple triad. Triple triad lovers go wild. We have some Domain Mahjong, which I have not even the remote clue of how to play. Faux Hollows has been added. Relive harrowing battles of your past in the form of unreal battles to create gripping tales you can share through peculiar talking fox. Succeed, you have the opportunity to play a special minigame which offers unique rewards. Okay, so it's not just Unreal. There's like a minigame post for doing it. I'm curious if it's like a weekly thing. Like you beat Unreal. If you beat Shiva this week, you'll have like a chance to play the minigame and get some type of reward, or it's just per clear. My brain says it'll be a weekly thing because that's what SE loves to do. This fox makes me uncomfortable. I want him off my screen. Fantastic Mr. Foe. Here's where we will get to see him. And now Shower looks like he's right next to, I believe that's Zoloe. Unreal Trials, designed to challenge players who have reached the current level cap. Exert similar difficulty to the original versions counted at the time of the release. I hope so. And it is Ak-Afha Amphitheater, or also known as Shiva. As if you haven't had enough Shiva, if you're already in the Savage scene, there is even more. Here is the minigame for Foe Hollows. Once per week, there it is. Players may speak to the Foe Commander after Fa Commander. It's not Foe, it's Fa. Fa Commander after completing an Unreal Trial to gain access to Fa Hollows. Availability is reset every Tuesday. Playing it is the reveal illustrations beneath one or more panels. Only 11 panels can be turned in total when playing. Successfully uncover illustrations and fall leaves, which can be exchanged for various rewards. The amount of fall leaves offers depending on the size and nature of the illustrations uncovered. This sounds very, very similar to Wondrous Tales in that you're trying to basically like make the picture. So you can see this is where he initially put his panels. He's trying to find a picture, right? And he found nothing. Found nothing. Here he found this chest, and by your deduction skills, you see this as a corner of a chest, and then you fill out the chest. And I'm assuming he ran out of turns. You won't have enough turns to finish this picture. If I had to guess, he probably needed 3, and he wasted 1. I am curious if you get any partial rewards for finding a half picture, or if pictures aren't always completed. That would be interesting. So if like you found this corner here, could this corner ever end up here and give, and like just, you know, be a red herring? Curious. We'll find out more as we play through it. Retelling. Uncover a large illustration grants a retelling with a sword as possible to complete an Unreal Trial and access falls once more before a week has passed, making it a viable alternative solely aiming for illustration that grant a high number of fall leaves. You only earn 1 retelling per week. Okay. This is a little complicated, I think. Just a smidge. It's interesting. So you can challenge the Unreal Trial, you clear the challenge, then you do the Fall Hollows, and then if you find a large illustration, is that correct? You can then get a retelling, which is allowing you to do the Unreal Trial a second time, and then you can do the Fall Hollows once more before the week passed. Viable alternative to solely aiming for illustrations that grant a high number of fall leaves. Okay, so trying to look closer at these rewards. Okay, so it gives you interesting. Here are your rewards. Like, are these tombstones or these fall leaves? Okay, so you can play it in 2 ways this fall hollow game. You can either shoot for this small image here that shows up on the right and get the most leaves, or you can also play the reroll again, where then if you know you don't have enough, like if you can't find this, you know it's not possible, or you found like this right away, you could just gun for this large image and get a second chance at it. Interesting. I'm curious what the rewards are. Follows can be exchanged to Fall Commanders and Idleshire for rewards only attainable via Fall Hollows. Interesting. We'll have to check this out. We have changes to Wondrous Tales. When receiving rewards, players will now receive experience points in addition to the reward after collecting 9 seals. This has been a long time coming. I haven't done Wondrous Tales in a long time. I used to do it back in Heaven's Sword when it was released. The rewards fell out of favor. They were never updated to be on par or even like remotely interesting, other than for the like random minion that people wanted to sell on the market board, as far as I could tell. Even like the certificates for gear were out of date, right? Like what was the point of having a pentamelted gear of crafted gear if they were 30 eye levels below where everything else was? It's just pointless. Waste of time. It doesn't make sense why they couldn't bother to update the rewards to be remotely worthwhile. EXP means it'll always be worthwhile. So alternative ways to level up. Good. Never against that, as we get more levels into the game and takes longer and longer to reach max level. Following additions have just been made to the challenge log. Now there's a challenge log thing for synthesizing 5 items. Experience will only be gained for this challenge for playing as a disciple of the hand. So I wonder what will happen if you desynth as a combat job and get this, but you just get 0. My guess is you get 0 EXP and you just get like the 1,000 gil. But this is really, really easy EXP for a Disciple of the Hand jobs. As if it wasn't easy enough, right? They got rid of the affixing materia. Okay. It's just, I guess, trading. This one's easier to complete than this one, I would say. Especially for easier people. We have the Russian kick dancing emote. So we'll see some Eskimo suits. I don't know if these glamours are new. This dance is definitely new. Battle system. So now we're at the meat of it. For some players, for actions adjusted, so we knew there were some warrior changes. I hope that they are good. We're looking at Berserk. The additional effect extends Storm's Eye duration by 15 seconds to a maximum of 60 seconds. Hold on. This should be up here. Storm's Eye now extends duration by 30 seconds to a maximum of 60 seconds. Interesting. So they gave it a Dark Knight-esque treatment that you can now stack. You can store the buff for 60 seconds. You no longer have to play the game of refresh at the absolute lastest of seconds. You now have some more like leeway in your rotation, which is a good and a bad thing. It's easier to play, harder to fuck up, and makes optimization easier. So good for new people, bad for vets that enjoyed the optimization of the class. And then we have Mithril Tempest, which I assume is just a update to be in line with the ability to go up to 60 seconds. Yes. Berserk. This is I guess like when you're down synced, because you don't use Berserk in current content. It just gives you 15 seconds on Storm's Eye. Okay. Inner release, it's the same thing. So you can what this essentially says, while you inner release, you will never have a fell cleave in that inner release window not buffed by Storm's Eye, assuming that you took the time to press 1, 2, and 4 to put up Storm's Eye and have it on you. Ascent Flash no longer requires a target parameter for execute. This fantastic. 100% I'm okay with this. You could make macros in this game to target your co-tank. I usually have just a macro for who are second in my party, which is usually an 8-man contact tanks, and then 4-man contacts is my healer, and I just use that for whenever I'm playing warrior to heal myself. Its secondary healing is like almost never a thought. It's almost never. I say, unless you're off tanking, which I mean I just prefer to be main tanking as a warrior because of Ascent Flash. But this is really, really nice because I hate macros. Macros in this game are the worst. I hate them. I hate them. Absolutely terrible. Anything that makes me not have to use them, the better. This is good. So now you don't have to worry about having to use a macro if you're solo, like if you're main tanking, because why do you care about healing your co-tank and Shiva when they aren't taking any autos until the final phase? Or like in the E7S and the birds, when autos don't do anything to anyone else other than the main tank. Or even in Ifrit and Garuda, or in Ramu, right? There's no need to. So it would be easier to weave, and it'd help you to get consistently the 3 GCDs inside the Ascent Flash to make it more effective. This is a really, really, really good change that I've been hoping for secretly. We go to Gunbreaker, Brutashell. Curve potency has been increased from 150 to 200. Interesting. Effect duration has been increased from 10 to 30 seconds. Barrier effect can now be refreshed. Interesting. This is the most minor of buffs to the sustain, which is I'm gonna say it is meaningless, right? I think it's meaningless. It's really whatever. I guess in a sense this also buffs their shell, their barrier, and this makes it much more easier to give that barrier to your co-tank with Heart of Stone. I don't think this changes anything because this usually equates to like a quarter of an auto attack, usually in terms of shield, which doesn't save anything from anyone anywhere. At best, this would save maybe like a DPS if they goofed a mechanic that already wasn't very punishing. Like maybe even like you're pulling Shiva and he took an auto to the noggin and he got topped off but doesn't have any shields, this might save the DPS, right? Like this shield, I personally don't think so, because Hearthstone already gives you mitigation, but it's like, this is so whatever. This does nothing, essentially. This essentially does absolutely nothing. They just put this here to make Gunbreaker feel happier. If anything, I would have preferred them to just delete Aurora and make Aurora built into Heart of Stone. That's what I would think you would have done. I hate Aurora. I hate that skill. And you compare it to anything, like you compare it to Warrior's Equilibrium, or even to like Dark Knight's Solar Regeneration, or I don't want to say Paladin's Clemency, because that's a GCD, so obviously it's not one-to-one. It's a GCD that you have to choose in for a trade-off for DPS, unlike Equilibrium or Soul Eater. But it'd be more, I guess, akin to having a shield, which is you parrying 15%, unlike Aurora, which is like a 30-second heal of like a 300 potency, which is like 15,000 HP. I think Aurora is awful. I really, really dislike Aurora. I use it because I have the skill, you know, but that's the thing I think I would have liked to see here. It's not a Brutal Shell changed, it's an Aurora change. Monk, I think they touched on this a little bit about changing Perfect Balance and Form Shift. The recast time has been reduced from 120 to 90 seconds. I don't know if this actually does anything for this current tier. I don't think so. I mean, maybe in like Shiva, because you drop it going from phase 1 to phase 2 ads, and you would use Perfect Balance, I assume, on the ad phase, and then you would drop it again, leaving ads into the final phase. I don't know if you would have Perfect Balance up. It's a 2-minute, so I'm not certain. I know you will with 90 seconds, even if you go like, you have to, right? Because I've used it in a release like on the 3rd wave of ads, and it's been up for the start of the phase 3. So I don't know what this aims to fix. Like what does this do? Like what does this enable Monk players to do? I don't understand. Form Shift, additional effect, extended duration of Grease Lightning, no longer requires Coral Form. So Form Shift in its current state as of yesterday, you needed to shift through not all 3 of your stances, because that's not quite how it works. You need to shift through your Coral Form, which is you needed to pseudo refresh Grease Lightning. So like if you had just refreshed Grease Lightning, then you were like off the boss for 15 seconds, like downtime, you needed then to press Form Shift 3 times to refresh Grease Lightning. This now eliminates that entirely. Every time you press Form Shift, you refresh Grease Lightning. It's like, I don't know if you can make this any easier to maintain Grease Lightning for Monk players, other than making it completely impossible as to fall off and not having any type of duration whatsoever, and just being a traded passive. It is getting really like, that's what I expect in the next expansion. They just almost essentially remove it. My bad. And like, I don't know. This does nothing in the end, right? If you were playing Monk, you probably didn't have this issue anyways, right? This does nothing for you if you're already playing Monk. If you're learning Monk, hooray, right? Bard, Sidewinder, Refulgent Arrow, Burst Shot. Center potency when targets from both Caustic and Sword Bite has been increased from 300 to 350. 50 potency buff, okay. I know Bard needed some damage buff, so that's good. Refulgent Arrow has been increased from 330 to 340. This is 10%, 10 potency. Okay, and Burst Shot, another 10 potency. I don't know the specifics of how much this is of a gain overall. So if I believe Sidewinder is like a 60-second OG CD, Refulgent Arrow is like a 90-second-esque OG CD, if I recall. No, this also procs off a straighter shot, if I recall. But it's only 10 potency. We'll have to see. I'm sure there are some people who have these math rotations of potencies per second already worked out and can be fairly easy to slot in. And we'll learn soon enough. Even if like that's just pure math wise, there'll still be once we get in hands in game, right? Fairly easier to see the difference. Machinist, I really wasn't expecting these changes. I only knew of like 3. Hypercharge. Description now clearly states overheat effects only applies to machinist actions. Okay. Interesting. So nothing happened. It's just a clarification in the skill. Summoner Trial Disaster potency has been reduced from 300 to 150. That is ridiculous. This is not a barely used OGCD too. 150 off that. Is that necessary? Really? Okay. Sucker MP cost has been reduced. I mean, yay. Easier for people who are trying to learn Scholar and having issues managing their mana, and people who feel uncomfortable on Scholar spamming Sucker for AoEs. Doesn't really do anything at the top end. I mean, I guess it helps get new players into Scholar for healing. Astrologen. I knew about changes coming to Astrologen. So Lightspeed no longer reduces MP costs. That's I'm gonna be sad to go. Helios mana has gone down even further. Benefic 2 has gone down even further. Draws the additional effect to restore 8% of maximum MP. That is very interesting. It's very interesting. Aspected Benefic MP cost when under the effect of Diurnal has been reduced from 500 to 400. And the Nocturnal is 900 to 700. These are really, really big mana adjustments. Like, even if just the Lightspeed was gone, like these all kind of add up. This is really big. Is there any changes to... No, there isn't. Okay. They really just want you to focus on the draw loop for mana regen, and because right now you would use Lightspeed as essentially a second, what is that mana regeneration spell that healers use? And it's a purple icon. You like rotate between the two of them for mana on Astros, I believe. Now this is purely a mobility spell. I thought they were going to touch the GCD effect of this as well, but I guess not. So Spectre Helios has gone down by 200, Combos down by 100. Sleeve Draw. The effect of this action has been completely revamped. Sleeve Draw now functions as follows. Draw a card from your Arcanum from your Divining deck. You cannot draw an Arcanum if you're aligned with its Seal of Arcana. When aligned with all three seals, any Arcana may be drawn. Additional effect restores 8% of maximum MP. I'm curious, so if you sleeve draw, does that mean you get 16% of your maximum MP back, or do you only get 8? I'm going to guess you only get 8. And if I read this correctly, whereas in its current state of sleeve draw, it's RNG of like what seals you can get, because it just gives you like a full deck and it gives you a full shebang of like procs and whatnot. What this seems to do is remove that RNG from Astro from being one of the most RNG aspected jobs in the game to almost none at this point. So if you know what it sounds like, at the start of the fight, you just draw cards, right? Prior to pulling, like you want, melee DPS because you have a samurai, and a caster card gives you a black mage, right? So you have those two cards ready. You just draw whatever's like card you have ready for, right? You don't really need a prep, and then you have your divination coming up, and you're missing seals. You just sleeve draw, and sleeve draw just gives you your missing seals. There's no guesswork. You should always have a fully buffed divination with sleeve draw, because sleeve draw automatically gives you those seals. And that's probably not how the most optimal way to play it. That'll be like the way to play it if you are learning the class and you're like struggling on it, right? I believe the most optimal way will probably end up being still trying to fish for the seals to have a full buff divination and then sleeve drawing afterwards. But we'll have to see once people get their hands on it. So, okay, horoscope can now be triggered when the effect of horoscope or horoscope Helios expires. This works a bit like Xcog now. You don't have to proc it. You can also just pop it early and then forget about it, and it'll still heal. Neutral Sect is executed, and Nocturnal Sect is active. The healing over time effects, both aspected, Benefic, and Helios, can now be stacked. Okay, so I think if I recall, this gives you basically like both stances for a short time, which is really, really, really powerful. It's a super powerful OGCD. And sounds like that aspected Aspected Benefit and Aspected Helios were the same healing buff, and so they couldn't be stacked, which is like kind of whatever. I guess it was kind of sucky in your tank, because you probably wanted like a single target regen on your tank, which is like a super strong regen, and then do like an AoE, so you get like a double buff regens. So it's a nice little buff, I guess. Descriptions of certain action changes have been adjusted. Their effects have not been changed. Okay, now we will know exactly how long the res is. This is the res immunity, transcendent, and I guess finally now people actually believe when they say moving does not remove res immunity, taking actions removes res immunity. Taking actions as is being healed, healing, dealing damage, popping buffs, right? Those are doing or taking actions or receiving actions that will remove your res immunity. Moving your character does not remove your res immunity. It does not. Never has. But now we know for sure. And then on top of that, you will know it'll be easier to discern what goes through res immunity, as some abilities do go through this invulnerability regardless. So it'll be good to know. I think this is a really, really good change. I'm all for this kind of clarity. Players can now change the name active sets in the Blue Mage spellbook. I don't play Blue Mage, so congrats for those who got this. I hope it was something you're looking forward to. A new dungeon, the Hero's Gauntlet, has been added. This is an interesting dungeon. This looks like Ilmeg, just like the destruction of Ilmeg. Interesting. It is just a new dungeon. Can be done with trusts. I'm curious as what the dialogue will be for them. Experience point bonus will now be granted when completing dungeons for the first time. This is good. I think this is really, really good. There are a lot of times when working through the MSQ that you're just up shit creek on EXP. I've been progressing through it on an alt with the Aetheryte Earrings, which like not everybody has, which is a massive EXP boost and food and rest of the EXP, and I'm hitting level walls, which is absurd to me. I feel like with all those boosts, I shouldn't be hitting level walls. This should just help facilitate that to make it a bit smoother leveling experience, which is good. I think it's a good idea to make it as a smooth and streamlined experience as possible. It'll not be granted for dungeons with level cap of 50, so this is purely for leveling dungeons, nothing to do with the level cap dungeons. Okay, coin counter has met his demise with the AoE marker. I would be lying saying if I am like fully okay with this. I think it is a good idea to have these kind of stuff in the game to teach players not everything has an AoE mechanic. But on the same coin, I understand it's a dungeon, and dungeons are supposed to be very entry level. So I'm curious as to how they're supposed to encourage players to like learn and progress, right? Since this dungeon's not even mandatory, if I recall. This is an optional dungeon, right? I don't understand like why there isn't any testing of the player mandatory. It is so weird to me. And this is like really whatever, since you could just stun this cast anyways if you know the fight, even remotely. Like you never even have to see this. You just stun it every time it comes up. Rest in peace, coin counter. You will be missed. I assume your fate counterpart in the Corytheus will remain. Those were the days of legions of people getting smacked. The following changes have been made to existing instance dungeons. The following items can no longer be attained from treasure coffers. Ethereal gear other than accessories have been removed from treasure coffers. Treasure coffers that only yielded items listed below have been removed completely. Okay, so goodbye all this junk. These are all like, I wonder, does this mean these are now gone forever, or like are these unique items in terms of look? I'm not sure. All items have been adjusted to ensure players receive gear of suitable strength. Always receive a weapon or piece of armor equipped by their current drop upon completion of these dungeons. This is good. This helps people when they're coming in to make sure that they're actually geared. More geared. They still need to do their poetic tombstones for Ironworks set. A new trial has been added. Don't know. And an extreme version. Very interesting. Curious what this is, and I hope it is fun. We have Shiva Unreal. It is synced. High level sync. Does this mean we're being synced down to I-435? No. That does if you do min eye level sync. You'll get synced to this eye level. Okay. I'm going to assume there's no eye level sync, so my I-500 best in slot will completely obliterate this. Different Unreals will be available in each major patch. What's a major patch? Is that every 0.1, I hope? At the very least. This is where you'll unlock it in Ishgard from Fantastic Mr. Foe. Drop rate for the Shadow Gibber Trumpet for Hades has been increased, and you can buy it now. So I believe, is that the last one? Because there isn't one for the Relic from Varus or Varus. So I guess this feels like the only time that I can call that every single mount for that expansion has been nerfed and available to be purchased. So if you haven't gotten these trumpets, it should be significantly easier to get any and all of them now. Eden's verse restriction on the weekly has been removed, so you can get as much normal Eden gear as you wanted, as if it mattered anyways, because it's all I-460 anyways, and it's junk. The only thing that really matters is the Blade of Antiquity, which there is still a cap on for some reason. And instead of 7, you need 4. We have the new 24-man, the Puppets Bunker, very interesting. The new exciting raid. It is. I would agree. This is a very interesting boss design. I'm very excited to go through this 24-man. Role requirements. Parties match automatically will comprise of 1 tank, 2 healers, 5 DPS. These are not required when registering as an alliance. 1 per week. Each alliance gets their own chest, and you get a coin and 2 cracked silica clusters for doing it every week. This is to help facilitate players in in gearing their tombstone gear. Will no longer be rewarded cracked silica clusters upon the copy factory, so they're just shifting the reward down the line. You will need 2 coins, 1 coin from the current one and 1 coin from the older one. This is who you go to upgrade your equipment. The new trial that they haven't mentioned, which is part of the MSQ, and Shiva. These have been moved to the Duty Finder as they're no longer quote-unquote relevant. You now get Echo and Ruby Weapon and Varus. That's a lot of Echo. Expert has been changed. Rest in peace, Grand Cosmos. I will not miss you, as every time I got at you, I was a little sad that I got synced down. Amnesia Annihilator and Hero's Gauntlet. So, hope the Hero's Gauntlet is fun. We'll be running that plenty of times. Level 80 has been changed to now include the Cosmos. Mentor Roulette has now been updated to choose been added the Hero's Gauntlet and the 24-man and the normal mode of the new Primal Trial, as well as the eye level has been adjusted to include those. The PvP actions, unfortunately I do not play PvP, so I do not know the full extent of these actions. Reprisal seems to have been buffed, changed from 10% to 20. Concentrate has been buffed. Drain has been buffed. Addle has been buffed. Swiftcast is buffed. Mana Ward buffed. Aetheric Burst buffed. Attunement buffed. Rescue massive buff. Confederator buff. Allow Ground reduced from 6 seconds. This is a net buff, I would say. Tetsudo, don't know what that is, but it's a buff. A swing buff. Seems to just a lot of changes everywhere. Wow, everything got changed. I don't think the only issue is this doesn't affect the core issue that I have with PvP, and that I believe healers are too strong. even though they reduced all these recasts and may have increased this potency, this is not enough. Well, Raw Injunction. Interesting, this is like the Blue Mage effect, essentially. Rest in peace. Season 15 ends, Season 16 begins, and you'll get new rewards. New unique rewards like mounts again. Frontline from 96 to 45 seconds. Damage, bonus damage dealt for tank and melees has been reduced. Okay. Bonus and damage reduction for Dragoon and Ninja has been reduced. Damage reduction from red mage has been increased. What? The rotation has been changed. Game planes available for duty frontline has been changed. Rebel wing changes. Okay, Cruise Chaser and Brute Justice. We have the, I believe this is the dungeon gear. This looks very interesting. Looks cool. This reminds me of Lord of the Rings with the helmet. We have the, I believe this is the summer event. This skirt. I don't know. This is a very dad outlook. Cooking on the Barbie. Those pieces have been removed. Okay. Rest in peace. Looks like a lot of it was Ishgard stuff. Icarus rings, regain feathers, and wolf gear has been removed. It can be attained in wolf marks. Okay. It's like PvP gear as well. Crafted gear can be upgraded from 480 to 490. Sundry Splendors, a one-stop shop for gear and items purchased in exchange for elegant tomestones and scripts has been added to city-states. Interesting. So I believe this is where you can spend your poetics. If I understand this correctly, you no longer have to go to Mordona. You can just go to any major sitter state to spend your poetics, which is good. It'll be, I mean, it's a nice little thing, right? Ruin as a representative. Been made to the exchange for poetics gear that require the exchange of a base item can now be attained directly. This is good. This was a long time coming. There's too much menu bloat in terms of trying to upgrade gear when it's really old and outdated. There's no need for it. So this is good. This needed to be done. The base item upgrades for gear can no longer be obtained. Okay, they no longer okay, gear exchange for silver trick boats will now offer augmented gear. It's fine. From when you buy a jump skip, you get the augmented gear, which is good. Unupgraded shards gaming can be exchanged for augmented gear. Okay. You still need to pay the difference in tomestones of poetics, but okay. It's been made to highlighted Centurio seals. It's the same concept. You just get the full upgraded thing, which is good. And again, full upgraded thing for crafters and gatherers. Yes. Age and otherwise damaged items used to craft vintage gear cannot be purchased from shops. Vintage, okay. So you can still get, so these junk mongerers will now offer it if you don't wanted it. My understanding. Or is this the, I think these are the items that they removed further up. Like the worm-eating shield. This is where you would get them now. They didn't want to delete them from the game, so I'm sure some people liked using them for RP and glamour purposes. So, okay, RFD material shops have been added. Now there's one in Idleshire, Roggle Reach, and Steps of Thal. This is good. All right. No qualms against this. Sort function has been adjusted. Items with a similar function will now be arranged together when sorted. Okay. Prices of certain items have been adjusted. Certain items now can be sold decent or submitted for expert delivery. Item level of Zodiac weapons, ammo weapons, and Rorican weapon replicas have been changed to 1 to reduce stress system. Timing with justice. So they changed how, kind of changed how durability works. Your durability will never, your gear won't break mid-instance, essentially, which is nice. After change, the durability of Spirit Bond gain will apply to the following duties. Enemies in the defeated open world will no longer affect Spirit Bond gain. I think this is an interesting change. Now you won't have people who have their gear break like mid-run, mid-dungeon. I assume mid-raid. It only happens at the end of it when you like leave the instance. So it's good. You no longer have to like leave the instance. This is a nerf to all the people who level the crafters to repair their gear mid-raid. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Materials in inventory can now be used to search for crafting recipes. This is a good change. I'm very happy and excited for this. Nice. I love this. Very nice. The trial synthesis action has been added. Players will gain access after learning the trait practice makes perfect. By using this, players can practice the crafting items even if the requisite materials and crystals are not in their inventory. However, please note you cannot create an item, nor will you gain experience points when successfully completing trial synthesis. This is fantastic. I wish this was here so much longer ago. You no longer have to guess and like experiment and do like simulators on the like web on people's sites and whatnot to like try to figure out if you can craft something. This makes it much more in-house to know if you can personally craft this without having to burn the thing. So like when they add new items, people can immediately start testing in game and get the information they need to do like the C. This is fantastic. I wish it was here from the start. It would have made crafting so much more beginner friendly. I think it's a fantastic change. Absolutely fantastic. Following the addition, apprentice practice skills will no longer be sold from shops. Okay. Craft actions have been removed. Collectible synthesis. And it is a new age. You can no longer craft a bajillion items and forget to put on your collector's glove and then be forced to sell them one at a time on the market board, hoping that you still make a profit. I can't say it'll be missed, but the memories are fond. Here's when you can start doing the practice makes perfect. I'm really happy about this change, even though I don't craft very much. I made to the crafting window is current gamepad. You can now specify the number of items to be crafted in the ritual. Players can now specify the number of items to be crafted in the raw material list. Okay, so I guess you can now like, it'll do the math for you for how much you'll need in order to make something. You could say like, I want a stack of this, right? I want a stack of potions. It will tell you exactly how much you'll need for every single material and crystals, instead of you having to actually manually do it yourself in your head with a calculator or whatever, or going to a third-party site to do it for you. So it's more in-house stuff, very SE quality thing. Players can now speak with Elto to complete custom deliveries. Is Elto this little dragon, or is it this Ellison? Custom deliveries. Ruin his house of splendors for turn-ins. Ornament recipes, I feel like must be moved to their own category. The auto sneak trait has been adjusted. Automatically activates upon changing your class. Also activated upon changing areas. Okay. New nodes for fishing and gathering. Display has been changed for % to just being available. Okay. Ocean fishing, I have yet to do this, unfortunately. Company issue survival manuals. These are really big buffs. These are massive. Even easier to level your crafters and gatherers. Just use these, you get 1,000,000 EXP, 6,000,000 EXP, 12,000,000 EXP, 50% boost on top of a higher, like, almost a higher increase of EXP. Well, these later two, there's no total increase, but you get it faster. For this one, and the duration is now 18 hours instead of 3 hours. Okay. You can now desynth entire stacks. Will be canceled upon moving. But why? New items have been available in exchange for achievement certificates have been added. I wonder what's new. The pull-down menu of material creation window has been adjusted. It have been added to the inventory calamity salvagers. The new mount, I believe this is for Unreal Shield. It's a reskin of Nightmare. This is a nice photo. Curious what this looks like in game. Music played around this is the name. The Pterodon mount has been changed. No. Is this the new mount name? What is the Pterodon? I don't know. New Chocobo Barding, new minion, system changes, new achievements. Only just been made to achievements. You can get your tank stuff doing the new trial, the new Shiva trial. Okay. Following additions and adjustments have been made to retainer ventures. Number of friend requests can be sent in a day has been. What? There's a limit on the number of friend requests that you can send in a day? Heh. Players can use the world visit system when joining a cross-world party. This is good. Nice. Good. Following addition and adjustments have been made to the Party Finder interface. You can now join the party. You can now join another party in the Party Finder as a party of players. This is really good. For a group of friends, they can now you can now form up, you and 3 of your friends, look through PF to see if there's another party that has 4 people, and you all 4 can immediately join it instead of trickling in one at a time and one of you not making it in. So this is a good option. I mean, a good QOL. So this is nice. It's nice to see. Silence Echo, I think this is nice. For the times that people want to go back and do old content and they want to do it as authentically as they can to when it was released as minimum eye level no echo. You can just instead of do the trust system or have to remind people to click off echo after every pull, you just turn it off in the queue selection. It's really nice. Really, really good. Very nice. They changed the name. It's no longer Forbidden Land Eureka. It is now the Adventuring Forays. The layout of the interface has been adjusted. They now make it clear that you don't get any spirit bond when undersizing. A wait option has been added to the Vote Abandon window. Okay. The display satisfies a play by you, no take party when applying to target. This is such a good change. This is so good, especially for 24 mans when there's so many conflicting dots and debuffs. I wish this was in here earlier, especially for jobs like Bard back in Heaven's Ward and Stormblood. Oh, I wish this was here. I'm curious if this also means... I wonder if this means they upped the upper limit of debuffs a target can take. Very curious. Enmity can now be manually reset when attacking a striking dummy. When targeting the striking dummy, select Reset Enmity toward the striking dummy from the subcommand menu. Enmity? Can be reset? Wait. So if I'm practicing my rotation on a dummy, instead of going into my house, assuming I don't have a dot on it, I can just right click the dummy, a subcommand should come up and it should just wipe its aggro. Huh. That's interesting. I don't think... Okay, I mean... Alright. I don't know if that was needed or necessary, but I'm not gonna, spit in their face about it. But okay. Category for actions used to transfer your character has been changed from glamour to special. Description for combo actions used in PvP will now include the cast time or cast time cost. Okay. Search function has been added to the orchestration. Huh. I don't know if you can pull this up in content though, which is where I need it most if I want to roll on stuff, right? Because I'm still just going to default on rolling on it if I can't check while in instance if I have it or not. Hold on menu of the arm roll has been adjusted. Display of quests when branching dialogue has been adjusted. You can now save the size and position of the result windows when appraising lockbox and logograms. Okay. Made to the group pose. There's new stickers to gpose. Cute. A lip movement has been added. Nice. Track camera option has been added. These will be fun to mess around with. Loop motion. Interesting. I like these ideas. These make content creation much. They just add to content creation, which is nice. These are good. If only now SE had a better dialogue between it and its content creators. The duties that can be recorded have been changed. We say goodbye to Hades, and we say, yeah, this is Hades normal. We say hello to Shiva. I still don't understand why this is so late, but whatever. Yokai comes back and has been moved to the collection menu. You can find a new medallion in the collection menu. Okay. You can now access the official site via links displayed in games. Now you can get to the Lodestone game menu, UI guide, and patch notes in game. It'll pop up a hyperlink in your game that'll open your browser to see the patch notes. The future is now. This really is the year 2020. We're living in the 21st century. Who would have thought that you could do this? If you can't tell, I'm being facetious. This is good. Should have been here long ago, but it's good that we have it now. Links have been added to the following notes. Open their associated official pages to your default web browser. This is for PlayStation. Okay, understandable. Hardware cursor scaling option. This is good for people hard of seeing. They can now scale up their mouse cursor. The UI settings is now on the character config. Do list will not be displayed in the foundation pillars, even if it's hid during instance. Okay. Mouse cursor size. Yep. Shortcuts. I don't know what this means. Support desk menu, shoot drop down has been changed to status. Been made to text commands. Now you have new text commands. Equip a specified fashion accessory. Fashion guide. Official site. Bee's knees. Perform the bee's knees dance. Lollipop. So that's the lollipop that we saw up ahead. Bee's knees dance. I'm curious about this one. Very curious. Party sort command has been revamped, allowing players to freely arrange the order of the party members in the party list. Okay, a maximum value can be specified when using random and dice. Okay, so now you don't have to, like, people have been doing their 50-50 rolls as like 0 to 499 and 500 to 999 for random, since it does 0 to 1000. Now you can specify what you want to roll. So you'd be like, I'm going to roll a d6. You do /random 6. It'll roll 1 through 6. This is good. I like this. Good. Very neat. Helps with, I guess, RP and, you know, other shenanigans. You can now item sort stuff in the saddlebag. Okay, auto translation. Okay. New music. Very nice. This is a change to trial players. It's right. Everyone gets Final Fantasy XIV Heaven's Ward for free, essentially. I say everyone, and that if you are a trial account, you can play up through Heaven's Sword. I don't know where it cuts you off in Heaven's Sword. I assume it's at the very end, which is like 3.0. Which is good. It's like, that's a lot of free content. You can like play through jobs up to level 60, which will give you a very good feel of how almost every single job in the game plays. And there's definitely gonna be some jobs that don't play how they play at max level as they do at level 60, like Black Mage. And like I think Machinist would be like another big one. And like probably Ninja and Dragoon. But it's still really good. This is a good idea. I'm a big fan of this. I'm still hoping that they change how it works when your sub runs out, that you get demoted to a trial account. I can only hope for that, like they do in WoW. All right, here they go over what's been done. Level cap's been increased. You now get Heaven's Ward. The game tile has changed, and you can now get to Palace of the Dead floor 200. That's really cool. So that's some actual content you could do as a trial character. After you do the MSQ, you and your friends could then go through Palace of the Dead and do Palace of the Dead from top to bottom. Neat. Adjustments and additions to the title screen. You can now pick what expansion title you want for your login menu. Neat. The layout of the game launcher has been adjusted. I don't know what that means. Collectible information can now be viewed in the Eorzea database. So now I can look at collectibles online. And we have bug fixes. Anything in here as of note? Her age was erroneously written as a 30-year-old. She is actually 20 years old. Okay. Excuse me? An issue wherein using the Scholar skill summons Seraph while under the effect of Whispering Dawn would lower its healing potency? Oh. Huh. Interesting. Well, it's a good thing that was fixed. Did not know about that. An issue received the wrong answer using decent. That is interesting as well. And their stuff was reversed. Known issues. Well then, that is it. It's a very, very long patch. I hope everyone's excited for the new content, for the 24-man, the MSQ, the primals, the trials, all of this. And for people who are on a trial account, I hope they're excited for all the new content that they'll get to go through. I'm excited to see them in game. If they have any questions, they can feel free to ask and work their way through. I think it's very exciting. It's a really big patch. The rework of Aroma Born. I'm curious of what was cut, what is kept, and how streamlined it is. And so I guess that's it. Thanks for joining me for this patch rundown for 5.3 patch notes of Final Fantasy XIV Reflections in Crystal. I'll be looking forward to working my way through it and trying through the content and experiencing the MSQ. Hope everyone has a good day, and thanks for coming along.